This is ShadowQuant, Stocks, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Wednesday, April 8, 2026, and this is the After Hours session. Now, let's get into it. SPY is at $659.22, just 0.6% below its 52-week high. QQQ is near its 5-day high at $588.98, while Diamonds is under its 10-day range. Volume is elevated, but the market is showing signs of divergence. SPY and QQQ aren't moving in lockstep. Let's start with the previous episode's calls. Pulse, you called bullish on QQQ with a target of $589.50. The price stayed flat at $588.59. Verdict, inconclusive. Grid, you called bearish on SPY with a target of $651.06. The price was flat at $659.22. Inconclusive. SPECTER, you also called bearish on SPY at $648. Still flat. Inconclusive. CIPHER, no call. Apex, you called bullish on QQQ at $589.50. Price didn't move. Inconclusive. I'll take the inconclusive as a win. I was leaning on momentum and sentiment, and the market is still in a tug-of-war.
I'll take that as a warning. SPY's not breaking out and the 10-day range is tight. I was expecting a pullback, but it's not coming.
I think the market is in a bubble. SPY is near its 52-week high, but the VIX is still above 24. If the market falls, it could drop quickly.
I'll go with SPECTER on that. The market is in a fragile state, but I still think QQQ is the better bet.
I'll stay out of the debate. I'm watching the flow data and earnings season more closely.
Let's break it down. The S&P 500 is at $659.22, just 0.6% below its 52-week high. QQQ is at $588.59, 0.7% below its 5-day high. Diamonds is at $465.88, under its 10-day range of $459.52, $472. Volume is higher than average for SPY, but not for Diamonds. The VIX is at 24.17, above its 5-day average of 24.8. The yield curve is still at plus 0.5 pp, indicating a healthy, if not explosive, macro backdrop. The sentiment is mixed. Fear and greed is at 52, neutral, but the put/call ratio is at 0.85. That's still a bit bearish. SPY and QQQ are in a technical battle, but the VIX is holding above 24.
SPY is at a key level. If it breaks above $659.61, the 52-week high is in play. But if it drops below $655.83, that's a red flag. QQQ is near its 5-day high, but it's still sitting in a tight range.
I'm watching the VIX. If it stays above 24, the market is in danger of a correction. The yield curve is fine, but the macro isn't enough to push the market higher.
The earnings season is starting to take shape. XLE is up 142.6%, but it's a single stock. That's a signal the market is looking for momentum in smaller, speculative names.
Let's start with SPY. It's at $659.22, just 0.6% from its 52-week high. Grid, what's your take on that?
The 52-week high is at $660.89, and SPY is within 0.6% of that. If it closes above $659.61, the 52-week high is in play, but the 10-day range is tight and the volume is still above average. I'd say the index is in a consolidation phase.
I agree. The sentiment is mixed, but the technicals are strong. The market is holding its breath, waiting for a catalyst.
I'm not sure. If SPY breaks above $660.89, it's a big deal. But if it fails, it could drop quickly. The VIX is still above 24, which is a red flag.
I'm watching the flows. Institutional investors are still buying SPY, but they're not pushing it higher. It's a sign of hesitation.
Let's move to QQQ. It's at $588.59, 0.7% below its 5-day high of $588.98. Grid, what's your read on this?
QQQ is near its 5-day high, which is a sign of momentum, but it's still sitting in a tight range. If it breaks above $588.98, I'd say it's a bullish signal. The technicals are in line with the broader market.
The sentiment is positive. The put/call ratio is still at 0.85, which is a bit bearish, but not enough to stop the momentum. The tech sector is leading the way, and that's a good sign.
The flows are strong in QQQ, the volume is up, and the market is rotating into tech names. That's a positive sign for the Nasdaq 100.
I still think the VIX is the bigger risk. If it stays above 24, the market is in danger. The earnings season is coming, but it's not enough to push the market higher.
Let's check in on the technology sector. It's at $137.43, up 0.48% today. Grid, what's your take on this?
The technology sector is showing strong momentum. The 5-day range is tight and the volume is up. If it breaks above $137.43, it could head toward $138.50. The technicals are in line with the broader market.
The sentiment is positive. The put/call ratio is still at 0.85, but the technicals are strong. The market is showing confidence in tech names, which is a good sign.
The flows are strong in the technology sector. Institutional investors are buying, and the volume is up. That's a sign of momentum.
I'm still watching the VIX. If it stays above 24, the market is in danger. The momentum in the technology sector is strong, but it's not enough to push the market higher.
SPECTER, you pushed back on grid read on SPY. Let's dig into that.
I think the market is in a bubble. SPY is near its 52-week high, but the VIX is still above 24. If the market falls, it could drop quickly. The technicals are strong, but the macro is not enough to support a breakout.
I understand your concern, but the volume is still above average and the 10-day range is tight. The market is holding its breath, waiting for a catalyst. If it breaks above $659.61, it's a big deal.
I think the market is in a fragile state. The sentiment is mixed, but the technicals are strong. The VIX is still high, but the volume is holding. It's a sign of hesitation.
I'm watching the flows. Institutional investors are still buying, but they're not pushing the market higher. It's a sign of hesitation.
My 24-hour call. QQQ bullish. Target $589.50 by next session.
My 24-hour call, SPY bullish, target $660.89 by next session.
My 24-hour call, XLE bullish, target $142.60 by next session.
My 24-hour call, SPY bearish, target $652 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $593 by next session.
The market is in a delicate balance. SPY is near its 52-week high, while QQQ is near its 5-day high. The VIX is still above 24, but the volume is holding. What to watch tomorrow? The earnings season and the flow data. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Equities. Stay tuned for the Tokyo session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.